What's going on, gamers? I kind of want this to be kind of a custom topic and also a reply to what Oliver Darko is saying here about a report from Jess. I've talked about it in one of my videos, but not that much. Now we're going to talk about it, but we're also going to talk about how Microsoft and what Phil Spencer said was a mistake, and that is not having a mid-gen refresh. Definitely for games like GTA 6, where the PC version is going to be kind of far out. But there's also another highlight here, and that's just quoted from Windows Central reports Microsoft is still not prepared for GTA 6 launch. The Xbox stock is not there. If it's going to be in demand, because it's not an exclusive, but it is an option away from PlayStation. But I don't see why you want to choose an Xbox over a PSSR 2 and PS5 Pro, unless you were just trying to get a cheap entry for the Series S. Just gets the experience in general, because you have a potato rig PC and you want to get that cheap entry and you have a problem with Sony, right? I mean, there could be so many factors why that could be there to the side, because it is going to move a ton of copies, and that's something that the Xbox community should probably want to get into big time, considering that it's a shooting community as well, and that's something Microsoft should not ignore. But yeah, I mean, if this is true, this is definitely not good, but there's still plenty of time before it comes out. So going over here to this, let's look at this real quick and let's see. So right here, this is what it says, and then we're going to get into my other topic. It says, one of the things Microsoft sacrificed to chase these aspirational profitability metrics was Xbox hardware stock. Yeah, we know they had to move their base out of China as well, too. Xbox Series X and S consoles are not sitting idle on store shelves. You're not even outselling the Switch 1, though. So the demand is there. You're not outselling the Switch 1. The stock isn't. I don't know about that, guys. See, this is where I feel like, what do you mean by demand? Because if you're not outselling the Switch 1, I'm sorry I have to keep saying this, then how are you in demand? You're in fourth place. PlayStation's outselling you 10-1. Switch outsold you last month like 17-1. And yeah, I mean, and the Switch 1 is beating you. And when the Steam machine launches, you're going to be in fifth place if you can't outsell the Switch 1. This is something to think about. But what I don't understand is if you knew GTA 6 was coming out next year, regardless, how could you still not be prepared? This kind of reminds me of the RAM situation. Oh, we're not ready for the RAM, but Sony had it supplied all the way to the end of this year. Nintendo was ahead. Oh, if you are an AI company, do you fail in these categories? This is the stuff that matters again, right? We're about to have the biggest gaming launch in history. Let's keep reading, but you're not prepared. You're over there looking at logos and stuff. It's like, oh boy, and boot up stuff. Microsoft didn't purchase the units required to meet demand because you're feeding into the AI. Quite clearly, because the hardware itself doesn't translate directly into high margins. Yeah, that's not where Microsoft is making their money. We know this. And now in the year of Grand Theft Auto 6, Microsoft will have no Xbox Series XS stock to sell. The memory has already been purchased by PlayStation and other firms that think annually rather than quarterly. And as the AI route continues to destroy memory inventory, there's absolutely nothing the new Xbox leadership can do about it. You got to really know how that world works, first of all, if you want to do something about that. And guys, this is what I keep on saying when I talk about these type of things, where it's like, where it really matters. And we're talking about the biggest game launch in history is about to come. According to Jez, they're not ready. And Sony beat them to it. Man, key points here, right? Keep paying attention to AGN. You see how AGN is covering all these different facets and showing you why he says what he says? Yeah, you see, AGN knows what he's doing over here. So, here's another thing. Not only should you have the stock ready for GTA 6, like $1 million to the side, but you should have price cuts getting ready as well, because everybody is going to feed off of this game besides Nintendo. That's the great thing about Nintendo. Come on, admit it. If you look at the Switch 1 sales, selling like 157 million right now, pretty much officially passed up PS2 as the most sold console of all time. Hey man, I don't trust those new numbers by Jim Ryan. Just saying, man. I got a little bit insecure. They're gonna keep on selling too. Where's GTA? Of course, FIFA, Madden, Red Dead, all those major third-party games that other consoles consistently have, but yet they're outselling everybody, but they're not feeding off of that. Imagine if the Switch 2 gets GTA 6 and they find a way to get like mini frame gen running to get it going. You could just imagine the empowerment in the future as they get more powerful with better technology. Definitely with the Switch 3, if they do a mid-gen, I hope they do, that would be nice, right? I could do a Switch Lite, do like some type of like super Nintendo Switch 2 or something, and have the dock be twice as powerful with a more powerful device and be able to catch up and, you know, give people those options. I think they should now. Before it wasn't a thing, but I think now they should think about that from a stronger third-party standpoint, that you could just get as much sales as you possibly could. And that would be nice. We'll see what they're going to do, though. But getting back to Xbox and PlayStation, though, another thing I wanted to talk about was how Microsoft, I think, made a mistake by not having an Xbox One X equivalent in the series factor this generation. You could have had it right here. You could have announced it this year. Think about it. Let's say it was coming out this year. Because, you know, usually when the PS4 Pro came out, they had to wait an entire year to announce the next one. Or they could have said, you know what, we're in works and it's going to be out this year. And they would have had something like FSR 4.1 or whatever ready. And it could have been there, and they could have had a million getting ready to get ramped up in the holidays right before the GTA 6 launch. You see what I mean? It's this type of mentality that you need to have to be ready to execute, to build yourself up something. And then the Series X and the S had a price drop, and then they went on sale right before GTA came out, and they sold 2-point-something million consoles in that window real quick. You see what I mean? But does this idea exist over there? Oh, it's coming over here from AGN, right? I have never heard nobody talk about that. And you could have had the most powerful console on the market, and at that whole time while GTA is out, you had the premium experience along with the PS5 Pro having the other premium experience, and there was some head-to-head going on there, but you didn't do it. And now people are waiting on the Helix, but who knows when the PC version is going to come. But you could have had that option, and it could have helped you out, and it would have been guaranteed 60 frames per second. Or maybe some light ray tracing because you made a more powerful model. You kind of get what I'm saying here. The PS5 Pro is proving that Xbox made a mistake again. This right here is proving that Xbox made a mistake again. What did he say again? The memory has already been purchased by PlayStation. Sony was trying to prepare even for next year too. They took care of the rest of this year. I remember last year they were saying they're ready all the way to the summer this year. But then they solidified the rest of the year. But then to do that, they had to pay more money. As we see, that's why they jacked up the prices, because they spent all that stock because they knew it might get worse. They went in and did that anyways. Not that we still like that price hike. But the idea here is, again, is that time and time again, PlayStation outsmarts you where it really matters, where it impacts gameplay, games, hardware sales, software sales, market deals, exclusivity, identity, and in areas where it's like, but you're supposed to be doing AI and cloud computing and all that. They shouldn't be beating you to that. But they did. And Sony is the one that came with the mid-gen refresh. Sony is the one that came with PSSR 2 and made it to where you could get the PC-like experience in the console industry. They're the ones that are pushing things like that. And these type of things actually matter. Not some stupid logo or some boot up, or not that it's bad that you reduce the price of Game Pass, but it should have never happened anyways. It's mistakes that you make that do damage that you really can't recover from. And then the turnaround from the cancels all the way to having all these first-party games now, even putting some of the games on PC, and then realizing, okay, we did all that. Sony did what they could, you know what I mean? And they made a huge turnaround where the PlayStation base is not damaged. The hardware is not damaged. The identity is not really damaged. It's still moving. It's still going to sell for 100+ million. And GTA, the biggest game launch of all time, is sitting there saying, marketing's going to you. Of the biggest launch in history. The most expensive video game ever made. You see what I mean? They're in that position. Nintendo is doing their own thing in their own world. I know another bracket to me because they don't need that type of third-party aspect. But somebody does have to kind of push that. And that's where you need Sony and Nintendo in a more unique, diverse perspective. Whereas Xbox is like, or, you know what I mean? Because then you realize even if I do have a base PS5, I know I could still eventually get that PS6. And it's going to be running like amazing. I'll have 120 frames per second mode or something. In a 60 frames per second mode with like high ray tracing and all that. You know what I mean? You know your investment is going to be rewarded still in a console-like experience. And that you're not going to be forced to move to PC and pay a fortune. The PS6 is easily going to be probably $300-400 cheaper than the Helix minimum. if it's only $1,000. If the Helix is like 12 or 1,500, oh, it's going to be significantly cheaper. And from a console like standpoint, you got to think about it. It's like, nah, Sony, they're going to find a way to where it's like, it's going to be attractive and it's going to have its own identity, own exclusives. And the Helix is going to be like, to me, an OEM model that is an optional upgrade if you want to do that, kind of like the ROG and the Steam machine if you want to get that. But at least they have some identity in the Steam world. And they have a bunch of other people's games in there, where it's like, if you look at the Windows Store, why would you want to be? They've made it better, though. But the point here is that you're not ready for the biggest game launch in history, where you need sales more than ever. How are you not? Doesn't make any sense to me, man. Like, this is where I say that, what type of leadership are you talking about here? Why hasn't that been talked about then? And you're the one that is pushing the AI route. And we're supposed to be one of the leaders in the industry with all that money you got, too. But where's this at? See, guys, the mistakes that they make and the stuff that they do, it's like, this is where you should be making the biggest improvements. You should be on this. You should be that good at the game. But it seems like that's not the case, because when it comes to gaming, I tell you what, and even when it comes to AI, everybody else was beating you. Apple beat you, Lenovo beat you, Asus beat you, Dell beat you, Google beat you, Gemini is destroying Copilot. You got to remove it on certain things. And it's like, Microsoft needs to shape up that identity. Satya did what he did the past 6-7 years, made the company 5-6 times richer in that spectrum. But if we want to talk about gaming and Windows operating system lately, Windows vulnerabilities and security exploits, even before you start up your computer with weirdos, the Xbox brand identity, I mean, yeah, it's been a complete mess, and they have to make a huge turnaround. And everybody knows this. So I want you guys to let me know what you think about this subject, about how PS5 Pro is proving that Xbox made another mistake, and that how Microsoft is failing once again where it really matters. You don't have the demand for GTA 6? What do you mean? That's easy profit. It's easy couple million sales. PC's not going to be there. Where else is somebody going to look besides PlayStation? Unless magically some Switch 2 port pops up. I think that's probably going to come later. Or if it doesn't, hey, I mean, it doesn't really need to. Nintendo's never relied on that. That's why, to me, they're like top of the top, because it's like their first party and their way of moving hardware and combining it together and innovating too, and creating worlds where people want to make more handhelds without relying heavy off of third party is just absolutely magical and absolutely just out of this world. It's just like, man, they managed to do it without chasing power too. The company is something else, and then their sales are absolutely insane from a software perspective. That's why I always got to give them credit. And I give PlayStation credit where they deserved it, and I gave Xbox credit where it had it. But they just make everything worse over time. It's like, man, you just keep on messing up. Steam does a good job too on the Windows platform. But I mean, yeah, man, Microsoft, the CEO, they have to find a way to, when they are making these changes, it's not overblown out of proportion and not really making real results become better on the market. They have to find a way to make sure that when they do reveal stuff in the future after all this nonsense, it's going to be something that is impactful in a positive way, where you're like, okay, there goes the sales again. Now they're moving. Look at these games doing well. Like, you have to do that. Otherwise, you're just doing all this stuff with the AI and there's no real results coming out. And yeah, I'm back on making some Xbox videos again, being critical, because it's like, yeah, I have to do this because somebody has to do it. They'll just keep on sleeping over there and over blowing up nonsense that is not really impactful. You know what I mean? It's like, you can't even help your own self. Though the person that is not salt farming from you anymore has to come back and do the same thing again. Like, from a gaming perspective, it's like, this is what you need to do. Because otherwise, you know, the only thing you're going to see outside of that is people saying, hey man, you need to return back to exclusives. But I've already covered that and told you what I thought about the exclusive route. If you want to take that route, what do you have to do? It's not an easy path. But yeah, PS5 Pro is killing it. Pragmata just got a new update, and they're dropping a logo. Boot up thing again. You see what I mean? It's like, that's something that you're going to get as an experience that improves your gaming experience. That's just something I'm staring at. But when I pick up the controller, when I play something, what's that going to make me want to do more in the Xbox, bro? It's like, I don't care. Like, you know what I mean? And it's not to beat it down, but it's like, it's not impactful to me. It's not something that is game changing, that make people want to go get a console. PSSR 2 is a game changer. and it's here to stay, and it's only going to improve into PSSR 3. And then frame generation is going to come, multi-frame generation is going to come, path tracing is going to come, and it's going to be right there with their exclusive games. And it's going to be a network, also closed ecosystem with the handheld to the side, though they're going to be going the Nintendo route. Because like I said, what the things that Nintendo does improves the whole industry and it affects every platform. Now you see Steam came with the Steam Deck. Microsoft wanted to try the handheld. Sony's going to come back and try the Switch style. You see what I mean? It's like, that's when you realize you're making the movement to improve the whole gaming industry. When Nintendo drops a new Zelda game, every developer on the planet is watching. Mario, every developer on the planet is watching. How can they improve their development? That's the type of stuff Xbox doesn't have. They used to have something like that. Because of Halo and Gears, man, that made Sony want to go do Uncharted and Last of Us. You had to get that stuff like that. That's what I mean. Like, where's that at? It's hard to see it now. And you need that. Forza is great, right? Because that's going to be dropping here soon. We know that's going to be amazing, but you need that type of power. And that's what I mean. That creative development power, that publishing power, that innovative power, that impact, that identity. You don't have it. All this little nonsense here is not going to really do much to change anything. Got to drop the prices. Got to have that timing and execution to be ready for stuff like this. Just saying. Let me know what you guys think later.